Bill Hicks. Marijuana is a plant that grows naturally upon this earth. Doesn't making nature against the law seem a bit unnatural, Senators? I strongly believe we should legalize marijuana for 3 key reasons. Point 1, marijuana is already safe than already legalized drugs. Point 2, marijuana has a very low risk of abuse. Point 3, marijuana is simply not a gateway drug. First point, according to the Huffington Post, marijuana is much safer than already legalized drugs. If you're completely fine with alcohol and cigarettes, then there shouldn't be a reason why you're not accepting marijuana as well. As you can see from a 2010 study published in The Lancet and reported by The Economist, a team of drug experts in the UK assessed and combined the harms to others into use of marijuana as less than the harms posed by tobacco or alcohol. The negative stigma of pot has certainly made it seem like worse, but honestly, Senators, marijuana is a healthier choice compared to other drugs. Point 2, marijuana has a very low risk of abuse, but Senator Rafia states that it is very harmful, but honestly, it has a very low risk of abuse, and there has been no death rate yet. Contrary to, according to Dr. Sanjay Gupta, CNN chief medical correspondent, recently wrote in his essay, "Why I Changed My Mind About Weed," that we've been systematically misled on marijuana. He reports that marijuana has leads to dependency in around 9 to 10% of adult users. Cocaine hooks about 20% of its users. Heroin gets 25% of users. And the worst culprit of all, tobacco gets 30% of its users addicted. Third point, marijuana is simply not a gateway drug. One of the biggest and most widespread arguments for marijuana detractors is that smoking marijuana will lead you to use other drugs. As Scientific American points out, researchers believe that marijuana's illegal status is the real good way. Because marijuana is illegal, those who seek to buy it must obtain it from criminal drug dealers, who often have an inventory of other drugs and have an incentive to expand their own black market. The exposure to the illicit market and peer groups that are willing to engage in drug use can cause individuals to try even more harder drugs. On top of all this, as mentioned above, nearly half the country has already tried pot, which is more than how many Americans know Jennifer Lawrence, and is much more than Americans who are left-handed. In conclusion, marijuana is better for your body than tobacco or alcohol. Marijuana is the most widely used illicit drug in the United States. But why ask? Why should the supply be an underground black market led by criminals? Ask yourself, who is more responsible? Is there really any question? The time has come for marijuana. I affirm this piece of legislation.
Okay, that speech by Senator Patlolla was 2 minutes 37 seconds. Questions? Questioners, please rise. Senator Akshay, madam.
Senator, won't the easy availability of marijuana create new consumers instead of rescuing old ones?
I agree. It will create new consumers, but marijuana is less harmful, so I really don't see the problem, Senator.
Senator Ladham.
Senator, drugs are addictive. Don't they rob the user of free will?
Drugs are actually not that addictive. When you can have alcohol and tobacco, why not marijuana? They are actually more addictive. I said this in my speech. Dr. Sanjay Gupta as my source.
Okay, Senator Ravindran.
Senator, you said that there's been no death rate, but who wants to be the first on that death toll if they keep using marijuana?
I don't understand your question. I don't think anybody wants to be the death rate. But marijuana does not cause a death rate, Senator. Exactly. Marijuana does not cause a death rate. I don't think anyone wants to become the first to have a death rate because marijuana is not harmful.
Okay, Senator Khoury.
Senator, since we have international treaty obligation that there can be no drug market, why are we legalizing and creating one?
When we legalize, we're actually not going to create a drug market because the consumer who wants to buy marijuana will go to the shop and buy it. So there's actually no black market when we legalize marijuana.
Senator Ram.
Senator, according to the Marijuana Policy Project, 107 million Americans, more than 40% of the U.S. population, born since 1960, have tried marijuana, which proves it's a gateway drug, and more than 60 million have tried.
Okay, I thank you for your statistics, but I already said that nearly half of Americans have already tried marijuana, which is more than how many people know Jennifer Lawrence, but meaning that it is a gateway drug is that it leads you to use other drugs, but it actually doesn't, as I stated in my speech.
Okay, so what does the left-handedness and Jennifer Lawrence has to do with how many people?
On top of all this, nearly half the country has already tried pot, which is more than how many Americans know Jennifer Lawrence, and it is more
Yeah, but
than
how is Jennifer Lawrence important in this?
Does she take drugs?
Okay, that was speech and affirmation. We're looking for one more speech and affirmation.
Senator,
Senator Gilligan?
30,000 people died.
What about the online guy?
No, that's because they use marijuana and that's
Huh?
Yeah.
exactly. So it's okay. You can get
How does
More people.
Guys.
Makes it look like a baby duck.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.